Welcome to The Economy Magazine at I-24 News, where we provide a daily view on world markets and the global economy. I'm Natalie Ehrlich. Today, we'll take a closer look at Israel's high-tech sector from a nonprofit which gives foreign students hands-on experience at fast-growing Israeli startups to the evolution of the startup nation as seen by two partners at Lowell Ventures. Let's get started. Well, the Tamid Fellowship is an 8-week summer internship program which provides college students from the U.S. the opportunity to work with fast-growing startups and high-profile multinationals in Israel. Their aim is to create the next generation of American entrepreneurs, influencers, and investors to Israel. On set, we have David Mickley, the Fellowship Director at Tamid Group, a nonprofit which gives undergraduate students hands-on interaction with the Israeli economy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, David, tell us firstly, what is the mission behind this group?
Tamid Group's goal is to integrate the next generation of business leaders and entrepreneurs with the Israeli economy. And we do that through two ways. One is our students during the academic year work on consulting projects pro bono for Israeli companies. And the other is we bring our top students to Israel for a 2-month intensive internship experience where they intern at Israeli startups, meet great business leaders from across different industries, and basically develop their skills while helping startups grow and succeed.
So this is basically an intensive internship program, but why Israel?
You know, if you look at where is the best place to do startup work in the entire world, Israel is either number 1, number 2, or number 3. It's at the top of the list for sure. So we feel like giving our students a chance to experience what it's like to be in this entrepreneurial ecosystem that has had an amazing track record of companies that have influenced and made the world a better place will give them amazing experiences to take back home and develop their own entrepreneurial skills.
And so this program is attracting students from all over the world who are interested in the high-tech scene specifically?
Yeah, currently we're mostly focused on U.S. students, but we are looking to expand where there is interest. We have a presence on 29 campuses across the United States, including Harvard, Penn, Berkeley, UCLA, a bunch others too. We have over 1,500 student members, and they come from all different backgrounds: Jewish, Christian, atheists. We're not political, we're not religious. We're a professional development organization that's focused on the Israeli economy.
Great. Well, here we have an example of that. We're joined by Richard Holmes. Tell us about your experience. Why did you decide to come to Israel and join this program?
So originally, I wasn't super involved in Israel at all. I'm not Jewish, so I didn't have a huge connection originally, and my perception of Israel was much of like, I don't know, the Gaza Strip, crazy stuff happening. I didn't really understand it at all. And so I went to a student activities fair and saw this amazing business club. I applied for this fellowship because I felt like it was a really unique opportunity. Personally, I don't have time to study abroad during the school year. And so I ended up getting the internship, and I was able to come here, and it's been an absolutely amazing experience. I feel so much more connected, abroad, and I feel like I really have some unique perspective on Israel that I'm able to bring home to like my family members. Like when they first sent me, they were so concerned about me going to Israel and being somewhere in the Middle East, and they thought that it was going to be very dangerous. But like being able to tell them like, no, it's just like living in America. There's several similarities, and I'm getting this amazing opportunity. It's quite simply
Tell
amazing.
us though about this opportunity. It'd be fascinating to hear. What are you doing?
So I'm involved in a business development role at JobSwipe. It's like a platform that connects recruiters and candidates in a more personal way when you're looking for jobs. So right now I'm working on international sales strategies, monetization strategies, and growth and development. And I've been doing a little bit of user growth modeling, a little bit of revenue projections, and creating investor slide decks. But it's a very young startup, and so it changes day to day. And so I've been involved in so many different things,
All right. And what else would you add here to this? As the director, of course.
Yeah, I think my position is the fellowship director, but this is a student-run organization led by students for students. So I think it's really about the fellows first and foremost. What makes it such an incredible organization is that there's over 1,500 members in this network and only 3 full-time staff. The rest is all done by students. They're coming here to work, to get their hands dirty, to do real meaningful work. There's so many amazing stories of what our interns have done this summer. One student, his CEO had to leave his first week of the internship to go to Germany to fundraise. So he was left not really sure what to do, but there was a conference that his CEO wanted him to be at, and not just be at, but he wanted him to pitch at. So he had to learn the company just in a few days and then pitch the company to over 300 potential investors and partners, and he was ready to do it. It was an amazing experience. So I'd say that our students are coming to get a meaningful, substantive experience. And if you're the manager in a startup, if you're looking to get some help from some amazingly talented U.S. students and are willing and able to give the real time to mentor them appropriately, please be in touch with me. My email is dmickley, D-M-I-C-L-E-Y @tamidgroup.org. Be in touch with me about internships. Be in touch with me about consulting projects. Our students are looking for so many ways to get connected to the Israeli economy. So if you're interested in partnering, let's talk.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
One of the startups which hosts Hamid leaders, JobSwipe, is a startup we got the chance to meet with over the summer. Let's see what they're up to. Smartphone apps have gained a lot of popularity recently, and some of the most popular are the kinds that you swipe on. And here to give us some more insight is the CEO of a new company called JobSwipe. Thank you very much for being with us. Ron Ozeri, CEO of JobSwipe.
Thank you.
Well, tell us about this. It sounds a lot like a dating app such as Tinder. Tell us, how is this different?
So it's easy like Tinder, but it's really different. You upload your resume, and if you're looking for a talent, you upload your job, and you just swipe. You swipe through the jobs. It's really, really, really easy. With time, we learn you, and we understand better what you're looking for and what kind of job you're looking for. And we can offer you the best jobs for you. And once the recruiter and the user is looking for the job is swiping yes on JobSwipe, they can just chat and start the interview.
So you start the interview on a chat system, similar like as if you would on Tinder, right?
Yeah, basically it's the same chat.
And you're actually able to put more information on this, not just a pretty photo.
Yeah, you have the whole resume there. You can see, the recruiter can see anytime your whole resume. And you can see the whole job description, the company name, the site, the links, pictures, and yeah.
How do you possibly, though, fit all this information in your smartphone? I mean, it seems really condensed and compressed and not really the ideal situation or place to find an employer or a job.
Yeah. Looking for a job, you don't need so much information on the job description. You need the title, you need the name of the company. It's really important to know where you're going to work at. There's some pictures that they can upload, and the description. Yeah, it's perfectly good for.
So in a way, this is more of a convenience. This is for people who are on the go, who are really busy.
You can swipe jobs. You can look for a job from anywhere. You can do it. It's summer now, so you can do it from the beach. It's really, really easy. People love it, and the feedback is really, really good.
Yeah, tell us a bit about some of your success stories.
So on our building, our office is at WeWork. There are 3 companies that already recruited tech guys with JobSwipe, and we are really proud of it. And a lot of recruiters in the app are also telling us and commenting that they recruited, and it was so easy to go over a lot of candidates. And yeah, people just love it. It's like a game. It's like Tinder.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your insight. Ron Ozeri, the CEO of JobSwipe. This potentially could be the way that we're all going to be looking for jobs in the future. I guess time will tell. Israel is well known on the world stage for being a startup powerhouse. What's the next step in the country's economic maturity? We spoke with 2 partners of Lul Ventures, based in Tel Aviv, for their views on the startup nation's potential. On set, we have the general partners at Lul Ventures, Avichai Nissenbaum, as well as Yaniv Golan. Thank you very much for being with us today. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, the Compass survey recently came out, and it lists Tel Aviv as the #5 ecosystem for startups in the world. What do you think is behind that success?
Well, I think there's several ingredients. First, I think it's a great validation to the Israeli tech scene. But if you look at what's going on in Tel Aviv in the recent 10 years, first, there's a lot of multinational corporations here that, have acquired companies over the years. As a matter of fact, if you look at us, we actually sold the company to AOL. And before that, another company to a French company called Dassault Systèmes, a company called Smart Team. You see a lot of talent actually working for multinational corporations learning how to do business on a global, basis. That's one key element. Those multinationals, become players in the marketplace. So you see Cisco, Microsoft, IBM, any major American company, any European company having R&D facilities here in Israel. So one element is the, breadth of Israeli companies that have been acquired by multinationals. As a result, multinationals exist here and they have R&D centers. Another very key component to this is, I believe, the Israeli culture, which is very open and inclusive. And, when you look at us at Lul, when we are early stage investors in ventures, community is really important for us. We work a lot with helping other startups, whether they are our investors or other companies. We create hackathons, events. We bring in and include multinational corporations in meetups that we sponsor. It's all about community, and the community here is very helpful to each other.
I see. Well, now let's move on to another topic, and we have seen a lot of transaction volume and a lot of capital being raised in Silicon Valley, the leader of the startup ecosystem in the world. Let's bring it here to you, Yaniv. Do you think that bubble at all can come now to Israel, to Tel Aviv?
That's an interesting question that we have been debating for the last 3, 4, even 5 years. And we see that consistently, even as possibly a bubble is being created. Some people say it is. Some people actually have very strong arguments as to why it isn't a bubble. But whatever happens, the scene in Israel stays pretty consistent so far. We're seeing really mature companies that are creating solid value, raising reasonable amounts of money, exactly what they need, at reasonable valuations, which is how we measure, whether it's a bubble or not. And that has been pretty much consistent for the last few years. So I would say that, judging by what we're seeing so far, the answer is no.
And what would you say? What do you think?
Well, I think there's definitely, some areas that are more inflated than others.
Like what?
I think possibly cybersecurity is a bit more inflated in Israel than in other places. But, the economics for the Israeli tech scene are much better in terms of us as investors than what's happening in Silicon Valley, which is, much more, I would say, higher valuation, and the market is being shifted to, major companies that are playing a land grab play. If you look at Uber, Airbnb, and others, which are attracting massive amounts of, investments.
Interesting. And speaking of investments, in Q2 we saw a record number here. What do you attribute that to?
I think what we're seeing is, and we've been seeing this for a while, it's the impact of the ecosystem maturing over time. And the reasons for that is that as more entrepreneurs actually create successful companies that are being sold, are being either successful or being sold, these entrepreneurs are actually part of the second phase, where they help other younger entrepreneurs create more mature companies. They deploy capital into those companies, they mentor them along the way, and help them create significant companies, sort of avoiding the temptation to exit early, which was sort of the problem in the earlier generations. We're seeing that across the board. We're seeing large companies being created, refusing acquisition offers. Our own portfolio.
Examples of that, specifically?
I think that most of them are basically off the record. But we have seen in our own portfolio multiple acquisition offers being refused because entrepreneurs intend to build significant companies and are not being tempted by those passing opportunities.
Lastly, Israel has often been dubbed the startup nation. So similarly, transitioning to this topic, can we see it become a scale-up nation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, again, as Yaniv said, there's a maturity of the entire ecosystem. First, the entrepreneurs themselves, clearly, as Yaniv mentioned, which are more mature, second-timer, third-timer, looking to, really build a big scalable companies. You look at companies like Taboola, Outbrain, Fiverr, Kenshu. All these are, category leaders in their domain globally and are growing nicely. I think it's also a testament to the maturity of the VC and investor community as well, which are really looking and being patient and continuing to invest into those companies to make them, bigger. At the same time, I mean, the talent is at scarce. Talent both on the engineering side, but also on the business and marketing side here in Israel, and I think we need to see more of that coming in.
Well, thank you very much for bringing that insight to us and those examples. We very much appreciate it here.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting us.
Well, it's easy to see why the partners at Lowell Ventures are so bullish on Israel's trajectory as a startup nation. From Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, the startup sector here is booming. The high-tech country continues churning out a variety of startups, many of which end up making inroads into international markets. And Israel invests almost 5% of its GDP into research and development, the highest ratio in the world. Well, in the second quarter of this year, 179 Israeli high-tech companies raised a record $1.12 billion. That's all for today. Join us again every day from the Jaffa Port in Tel Aviv for all your global business coverage from tech to finance and economics. I'm Natalie Orlick. Thank you very much for watching.